Welcome back to another episode of Talking Sports A to Z. Today we're going to get into The Last Dance, the entire docuseries. We're going to go over all of it, including the last two episodes that aired on Sunday. Get into some fan questions from Twitter. We asked for some questions. We had some good responses we're going to get into and just kind of debate those. And then we'll mention and go over the sports that are getting back. We had driving relief over the weekend, NASCAR coming back. The match coming up this upcoming weekend with Tiger and Phil, Tom Brady and Peyton. And then I'm going to debut a new segment, Busch's Best Bets. So I hope I don't lose you money, but we'll see moving forward. Hi, guys. Welcome into another episode of Talking Sports A to Z. I'm Alex Busch alongside Drew Zlogar. How's it going, man?
What's going on, man? Glad to be back on the airwaves with you. I come to this podcast with a heavy heart, understanding that we no longer have any more of The Last Dance coming out. It finished last weekend. It was incredible. I'm glad that we get to talk about it today, but the fact that was our kind of weekly sports entertainment and it's already over, I had my fix and I want so much more of it, and it sucks that it's already done.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I think I've mentioned this to you a couple times, just seeing the first Sunday of it, the first two episodes, I was like, just bring it all on. I want to see it all. And it's been kind of incredible just going through the weeks, having to be, our kind of Sunday football fix. Instead of that, we got the MJ doc instead of Sunday Night Football or whatever. But, it's come and gone. We're definitely gonna watch it, 10 more times. So, but it was really cool that we kind of got to birth our podcast around the MJ doc because, they released it early and it really killed it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think you're exactly right. And I agree that I'm going to run it back immediately. I'm going to be watching them, trying to run it back, get new nuggets of information, just because it was so filled, jam-packed with incredible behind-the-scenes footage. And I feel like even if you ran it back right now, after just going through it, you'll still be able to appreciate it for so many different reasons. So I am joking right now, but also I do think that in a week or so, it's going to get to a point that I'm just going to want to restart it because I'm so starving for content and it was so good. So won't be surprised if I do run it back, but it's cool. We birthed our podcast about it. I think that we really got into our own unique flow, talking sports A to Z. We continue to get into a groove episode by episode, and it's largely thanks to being able to talk about that docuseries. So in a way, this kind of birthed something that I think is going to be great. So definitely fortunate that we had that to kind of get into this groove because I'm enjoying being on the airwaves with you.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out. We had two episodes this week. Give a shout out to the guys that came on last week, the guys and girls, Tina, Natalie, Jeff, and Chuck. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Good to kind of catch up with them.
Yeah, no, I'll say the same. And what I will say that's unique is I hope that you guys listening truly can see how appreciative we are, Alex and I are, of the people that we have in our lives from a professional standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're bringing on all these people so far, and it
was all our circle pretty much so far.
Yeah, and all of them, we're talking to them like they're our best friends, and some of them are really good friends, but they all came from the NBA family. So we all developed some incredible relationships at the NBA, and the fact that we tapped into them to get this podcast rolling and those interviews went as well as they did, it's credit to them for coming on, but really hope that you guys listening enjoyed what you've heard so far because we're just going to be taking off from there.
Let's do some Last Dance talk. It was the last two episodes. I think there's a lot to go over here. I think that I want to start with the flu game or the food poisoning game.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, we've all heard about it, but it's just crazy to hear the full details. And I just crack up every time I see that clip of MJ just being like, I ate the full pizza. No one else ate it.
It was funny because it was classic MJ, perfect on brand for him to even make eating dinner competitive.
It's a competition.
Yeah, I ate the whole entire pie. It's just like, okay, MJ, settle down. But no, I have so many things. First of all, I'm very glad that they called it the flu game, because if it was the food poisoning game,
it would be a whole different thing.
Whole different thing. I would have looked at it a different way. I would have almost discredited MJ for feeling as he did. I would have been like, all right, it's food poisoning. Someone has the shits. Oh, well.
But I mean, dude, we've all had food poisoning. Like, imagine playing in freaking NBA
oh my
game.
God, no, yeah, it's incredible. The fact that what he did was incredible. But what
Yeah.
first came to my mind when I was watching that documentary, that episode, and they were detailing that, was the fact that they had 5 pizza boys coming to deliver the pizza. That should have been the first red flag. And frankly, hindsight, it's 2020. But if I was MJ's agent, trainer, and like best friend,
like, no, get out here.
if there were 5 people delivering,
it's just a mess from the start. You're just screwed.
I feel like I wouldn't have even allowed it. I would have brought up way too many red flags, to the point of like, I feel like there would have been, this is sketchy to the point that I don't even want you eating this pizza. So in a way, it was like, how are you, MJ's entourage and trusted human beings, to make sure he's okay? And you're just going to be like, oh yeah, they just 5 of them came because I guess one got lost and they just needed the support. It's just like, it's a pizza guy. There should be one guy coming with the pie. Here's your pie. Give me the money. I leave. So from off the rip, it was sketchy.
Oh, 100%. And so I don't know if you saw this, but Andrew Hawkins, who used to play in the NFL and now he's got a podcast, he's doing a bunch of media stuff. He tweeted after, and he was like, I think he said it was his rookie, no, maybe not his rookie year, but he said when he was with the Bengals, he's like, I got 102 degree fever. I had to leave my room because I was rooming with AJ Green. I didn't want to get him sick, and I was just ready for my flu game. And I had 2 catches for 15 yards and we lost. And it's just like, dude, like anyone could go in like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna be that guy, and then no, you just can't. You can't be MJ in the playoffs like that. It's not the same.
It's
quite incredible that he did that.
I wake up hungover on Sunday mornings, and I don't even get out of bed until
I can't even go to Chipotle. It's too far for me.
12 noon or 1 p.m. Like, this man was shivering, like whimpering, cold sweats all night. Probably didn't.
He's sitting on the bench like this, like hunched over, like every single possession, every single time out.
Sweating absolute buckets, like, and he still goes out and just wills his team. Like, the rest of the team, it seemed, didn't even do shit. Like, it was still another game where MJ was on his last legs feeling like dog shit, and he still had to just step up for them to even win the game. So it's
just absurd.
There were many moments where it was just like, MJ is truly larger than life, but that one is probably the epitome of it. He had a debilitating food poisoning issue, and he still went out and absolutely worked the Utah Jazz. So it was incredible, man.
I mean, it doesn't compare to my back podcast, but it's definitely up there. And I definitely
calling that the back pod. What do we want to call that?
I don't even remember which one it was when I screwed up my back, but it was tough to get through that. So I feel his pain.
You had the double pillow cushion. You had what you needed.
Yeah, I was good. I made it work. It was I felt like MJ. I really did, and I performed like MJ. It was incredible.
It was your MJ pod game. You got through it. But yeah, man, I thought another as we transition off the flu game, how about the Steve Kerr segment? In my opinion, that was probably some of the more moving moments of that whole documentary, let alone that episode. I thought the Steve Kerr moments collectively, even the story about how him and MJ got in the fight and the detailing about how MJ called him and they reconciled. But then this backstory about Steve Kerr's father, frankly, Steve Kerr's whole family, and how they were a unit, and his mom and dad go overseas to allow, his dad to be kind of an ambassador in a war-stricken country.
Well, how much of this did you know? Because I did not know that part.
Yeah, no, I knew from a very, very baseline level that Steve Kerr's dad had been shot. but I
I
had
knew he was not alive. That's all I knew about that. So this was crazy. And I think the craziest thing is they talk about it and they're like, yeah, the guy before got shot. Like he would have been shot if he was here before. And then he gets shot. It's absurd. And
I mean, it's absolutely absurd. And when
it's
you
crazy.
think, and the prefacing of their family story was just how tight of a unit that whole family was. It was a very strict upbringing for Steve. He was saying how Monday through Thursdays he wasn't even able to watch TV. Like they were such a tight family. And poor Steve is at University of Arizona as a college student, and he has to find out that his father, rest in peace, got shot point blank from his dorm room. Woken up at 3 a.m.
It's absurd. Like that's shit that's in like a horror, like a terrible like part of a movie.
Oh no, it's out of an absolute nightmare. But
it's a nightmare for sure.
The fact that Steve Kerr and MJ both, shared that same tragedy with their fathers in a weird way. I feel like Steve Kerr was MJ's closest teammate he ever had. Is that a hot take?
I don't think so, because it seems like every other teammate he belittled and tried to compete with too much. But like the fact that they talked about the fight, and after that, like earlier in the series, and after that, it was like this different connection they had, and he was 100%. Talking about. And then MJ in that episode was even mentioning that they had that kind of, I guess it's shitty to say a bond, but having their father being shot, it's horrible, but they both had that happen.
And they asked Steve, hey, did you and MJ ever like bond over that? And Steve was just like, we never said a word, but it was.
But I think they did without doing it.
Yeah, it had to be an unspoken,
especially right after it happens, that kind of thing.
100%. And like you said, between the Scotty Burrells, the Craig Elos, or not Craig Elo, the guys that he was bitching around on his team and just absolutely
pretty much Scotty Burrell times 20.
Yeah. And but then even guys like Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen, his dogs, I don't think MJ was ever truly close to as he was to Steve, because Steve was the only one to truly not back down. He was the one to actually, you know what, fuck you, MJ, I'm going to shove you. I know it's not going to end well, and it ended with MJ cold clocking him, but with Scottie Pippen.
But it's good.
Yeah, with Scottie Pippen's moments of like letting his injury just totally take him out of games. And then the fact that, frankly, MJ was retired, but MJ was seeing Scottie Pippen just sit out of those crucial moments. And then you have Dennis Rodman, who was on a whole different planet. So like
leaving the freaking city.
There was, I feel like from a bond, a human to human interaction, I don't think MJ had a closer bond and respect for than with what he had with Steve Kerr. So those moments were awesome. And you always hear nowadays, as Steve Kerr is the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, how, just clear he is and refreshing he sounds. And what he says is real digestible. And when Steve Kerr speaks, he's a man that you listen to. So,
and he's also he's not like, I think that maybe, I'm not saying this definitely had an influence from playing with MJ and stuff, but he's also a guy that will not hold back on what he's saying, whether it's about basketball, politics all the time, anything.
He's an outspoken man, and
which I like that about him. For sure.
Yeah, he's a fearless man, and when he speaks, you listen to him. So when the documentary gave him those minutes to just speak, it was powerful. So really loved that. But how about Rodman? Speaking of Rodman, we had another Carmen Electra sighting.
That just scene right there with just, could you ask for anything better right there?
Oh my God.
He's got Carmen Electra and the trophy.
Baby, kiss the trophy.
Could you ask for much more at that age, at where he is in his career? Probably not.
It's incredible. Dennis Rodman, just think about this. Rob Gronkowski retired and did a little stint with the WWE. Frankly, I think he's still the SmackDown champion or whatever.
Yeah, he's still something, but yeah.
But he didn't touch wrestling until he was well retired.
He was retired for a year by then.
This man, Dennis Rodman, during the fucking series, went out on a plane to a WWE SmackDown match with Hulk Hogan and the rest of the game.
And how?
During an off night, win and ended up skipping 2 practices. Like, we already talked about it in a previous pod, but like, Dennis Rodman was truly one of a kind, and it would never fly in this.
He did whatever the hell he wanted, and it is absurd that he left during a series. The best part of that is when they're coming back and they're trying to sneak him in past the reporters, and he's sprinting up the stairs, and they're like, whoa. But it's just like nowadays, obviously, like I think it's so funny because they kept talking about how like, no, we didn't know what was going on, where he was. Like, imagine just like going, were they on the road or were they home? I don't even remember.
I believe that they were on the road, so that's why
even funnier. Imagine them going back to the hotel room, the other players just turning on like WWE, going, what the fuck?
Dennis? I just saw him like
he's right next to me in the room next to me. I swear I saw him.
I just was in the locker room with him like an hour ago.
So absurd, but yeah, no, dude, he. I kind of want to touch on this a little later too, because one of my buddies asked a question about this on Twitter. But like, he literally did whatever the hell he wanted, did not give a shit what anyone said, and still showed up and performed for the most part, which is pretty incredible. And it just makes me laugh. It's like, you can't do that nowadays, like we've talked about before. But I just can't even imagine someone doing that these days.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely wouldn't fly. So
Odell gets in trouble for being on a boat on his bye week. Like, imagine if someone left during the middle of like the Super Bowls in 2 days, and they like leave to go do another event across the country.
In a way, I can't even imagine it, because there's so many levels of security. There's so many like formalities that go into like.
Well, you have to have a corrupt coach or management or something to let that happen, because that doesn't really. That would never just go under.
The whole entire front office would have to be like aware and just cool with him doing that, because there's way too many like levels of approval nowadays that a player wouldn't just be able to just go and do that. So Dennis Rodman's one of a kind. I'm glad that he'll live forever in his colored hair.
Forever a legend. I do have to say, dude, it's so funny because like I knew about who Rodman was and stuff because like we were young, and first I got introduced to like Rodman's just like who he was and his personality was on. So my family, I had to be in middle school, like maybe 6th grade, maybe even younger. There was The Apprentice, and it was with Trump. Remember Trump's show? It was like the Celebrity Apprentice, and Rodman was on it, and he was fucking hilarious. Oh my god! Because like I didn't know that much about him then, and it was hilarious seeing that, and then going in the deep dive of who the hell this man is.
Oh, it's
just funny.
Incredible.
But oh my god, we could talk for an entire episode about Dennis Rodman.
But he's not worth it. So let's move on to something that was worth it. I have to bring this up. Permission to bring it up. So everyone is talking about how MJ's famous shot in Game 6 against the Jazz, that crossover where he pushed off. Let's just nip that right in the bud and talk about what actually was a push off that didn't get called. My man Reggie Miller in that first series with the Bulls to win, not even a clinching game, but just a game in that series, completely shoved MJ and got space and drained that shot. And the MJ haters coming out of all the different pockets to claim that he pushed that.
It's literally no comparison.
Not even comparison. Like the defender was already shifting the way MJ was going, and he like puts his hand on like his ass cheek just to like cross back over. He barely even touched him. So all of those guys that like, oh, that shot forever has an asterisk next to it. It's just like, no, what the hell were you
Watch
watching?
one after the other and tell me that again. Like, it's not even close. I just don't. It's
That
absurd.
got debunked immediately. I loved how I saw that because I remember growing up, I didn't watch that shot live. So when I knew that was part of that episode, I was just like, oh, let's see if like these people chirping about the push off that MJ did is true. And the alternate angles of that replay, it's just like, wait, he barely even touched them at all. You guys are just haters for no reason. So I just needed to bring that up. It's people hating like they always want to do about every little thing, and that's just another thing that's
just another one.
Not even worth your breath. And unfortunately, you're wrong. So, Busch, as the documentary ends, any last thoughts that you had?
I think just like in the last episode, that last, what was a couple minutes, they had that montage of everything was just so sick. By the way, just have to point it out. I was watching that like, whoa, this is fucking sick. But like, just like overall through the, I feel like it's really cool for us because we didn't have the opportunity to watch MJ in his prime and be, or if we did, we were watching as we were 5 years old with our parents, you know. It's like not the same as watching, you know, guys we watched, Kobe, LeBron, guys like that. It's things that like you've heard, you've seen highlights, you've you know, seen different things if you've researched, etc. But cool, it's very cool to see them ran back and knowing that like you're getting the best access. You're seeing things people haven't even seen. So you're hearing stories that some people haven't even seen, but you're also hearing the basics that like, if you do know about, or if you don't, you know, you're getting the whole scoop of it. And it's pretty cool. I think that they definitely played with your emotions a bit, which was cool. Like having those very deep, sentimental storylines, which were true, but the production was very good. And the access just was incredible. I do have to say, so I saw a TikTok, of course, naturally, and it was the one where they draw down, and then the next one they go over.
Yeah.
So it was like MJ, I forget what it was. It was like MJ's title run 98. Boom. And then it was like the last dance, 97, 93, 98, 94. Like, because it went back and forth and back
all
and
the
forth.
Different flashbacks.
It was crazy, but I think they did such a good job with that little timeline graphic they've had. They would go into like backstories before they went into specific things when they went into different times. It was a bit confusing at first, but I think that we got used to it, and it was really cool to see, you know, not just that year, not just that last dance. You know, everything led up to that last dance, and, you know, the last few episodes were pretty much almost all of that. So
loved it.
Long-winded answer to say it was dope.
And it was to the point that I agree with everything, so I won't even double what you said. I'll just say ditto. The thing that I got really fired up about was toward the last, I think, like episodes 8, 9, and 10, during the commercial breaks, ESPN really started to promote that they are releasing like new in-depth 30 for 30 series with really
they had commercials for that the whole time, which is pretty cool.
So the fact that like a really emotional one about Lance Armstrong, the cyclist is coming out, baseball with Mark McGuire, like there's going to be some more awesome documentaries at this deep level that MJ was. Obviously not to the level of the MJ documentary, but more than just the typical 30 for 30. I'm pumped for that because these really started to I really started to get into that habit of like you said, Sunday, the NFL fix. I was getting into that habit of like Sunday was the MJ fix. And
you got this Sunday night, Golf Channel, Tiger Woods. They have the Tiger Slam documentary on 8 or 9 p.m. on Golf Channel. Just saying, it's gonna be sick.
I saw that when I was, and we're gonna get to the driving relief in a minute, but I saw that.
Yeah, they had a bunch of commercials for that.
Yeah, that looked awesome, and I'm looking forward to that. But
yeah, I loved basketball growing up, but the golf one's gonna just hit my nerdiness right in the heart. It's going to be great.
100%. So do we
Um,
want to get into the nerdiness and talk about the other sports, or do we want to
I think
bring
we send it to
Breland
Breland
on?
first, but I have one question. So I saw this on Twitter, and I want to get your thought on it.
For sure.
So these long docu-series are incredible. So after, I'm just pulling up my answer so I can tell you what I said. Someone tweeted, who was it? Jeff Goodman tweeted, if there's another 10-episode bio series on another sports figure, who would you choose? So I picked 3 that I would choose, and I said, ironically, Tiger, Kobe, Tom Brady / Patriots in that order. What would yours be?
Tiger for sure. I'll agree with Kobe.
LeBron will come, but I think like if it were to happen now,
Yeah, I think Derek Jeter would be awesome.
Derek Jeter would be good for sure. I feel like eventually that, like, Brady would be sick, but I feel like eventually that whole Belichick Brady thing is going to be an incredible documentary.
Yeah, and
series.
in a way, since he's still playing, like Tiger's still playing, so I guess that argument isn't really valid. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I think like an in-depth documentary about Barry Bonds could be cool too.
That could be cool, but I feel like that's those guys like
shooting, bro. It was like that man was pumping out like 3 home runs a fucking game. And like the fact that he came into the league as like a skinny base stealing
and now he's humongous.
And then he ended his career as like a badass. Like that's an incredible timeline of an athlete. So
I agree.
I think Barry Bonds.
Another one I probably should have mentioned. This one, so this I might get some flack for saying this, but this is one of those things that, like, in sports you have certain opinions that you will like ride them to the grave, whether they're right or wrong. I still think Wayne Gretzky is the best athlete, but because of what he accomplished, he literally scored 200 freaking points in a season, in several seasons. But anyways, having a Wayne Gretzky one would be incredible for people that don't watch hockey, I think, because they don't really understand the gratitude of how incredible he was, how incredible his records were, and the fact that he was the best player in the game getting traded in the prime of his career after winning cups.
I don't know.
This is something we can go into another day, and I can give you my entire thoughts, But I just think it would be pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean that would shed light onto someone that I'm unfamiliar with.
As a hockey fan, I still remember the most starstruck I've ever been in working in sports was when I walked out of I was covering a Blue Jackets game. He was there for something, and I walked out of the elevator when I was interning. Walked out of the elevator, or no, I was walking into the elevator, and someone was walking up. I held the elevator. It's fucking Wayne Gretzky, and I was literally shaking because I was also like a sophomore in college or junior maybe in college. I'm just like, oh my God.
God.
Yeah, the great one. Yeah, so I think we go right into Twitter questions. I kind of tweeted and asked for some questions from, people, a bunch of our people we know kind of gave us some good ones, bad ones, funny ones, etc. But, I think we do this like a quick, rapid fire thing. I'll read off the best ones. We can give our quick answers. If it's something that we want to mention later on, we can go more into it in another episode. But, yeah, I'm going to go. Let's see. What should we start with?
Start rattling them off.
Of course, my girl Maddie Quisenberry says, is MJ the GOAT? Just give me your quick answer, and I think we can do an entire docuseries on this someday.
It's going to hurt your heart, but yes, MJ is the GOAT.
Really? I'm going to say there's no finished answer yet, but he won't be. But
shout out Maddie, because that was maybe the tamest answer that Busch has ever given.
Because I know that I'm going to go into it for 35, 40 minutes, and I can't. No one wants to listen to me talk about that right now for that long. So Maddie also had another question that I think is kind of funny. I know you're not actually, you watched a little Bachelor last season, didn't you?
Yeah.
Which superstar athlete would you want to see as the next Bachelorette or Bachelor? And I say you take out relationships. So just pretend they're single. It could be anyone.
Oh, God.
Because my answer is Ben Simmons, and you can't necessarily say he is or isn't single because you never know.
All right, taking out taking out relationships, I think Rob Gronkowski would be
Oh my, yeah, but I
hilarious.
love Camille. I don't know. They're just like
You
the most
said
perfect
taking out
couple. I
relationships.
know, but they're the most perfect couple ever. I don't want to break them up. But
Wow,
yes,
that's a
Gronk,
really
dude, Gronk
dude.
at like
Could you
Gronk in
imagine
his first year in
Gronkowski?
the league, Bachelor.
Imagine Gronkowski in a house filled with 30 absolutely gorgeous women. Oh, it would be incredible.
Well, the thing is, Gronk would have to be on like Bachelor in Paradise. It would have to be just the. It couldn't. Bachelor's too like, too smart, too intelligent, too like formal for
Are
Gronk.
you sure? I feel like The
I think it's
Bachelor
too
at times
formal for Gronk. No, I think it's just like too formal of a setting. He has to go to Bachelor in Paradise where they're wearing can't even speak, a swimsuit every day, and they're on the beach and they're all trying to find people. I don't know. But I also think having like 20, 30 women starting to go after, like, imagine the first day when they're going in the mansion, like the conversations with Gronk would be hysterical.
Any other player come to mind for you?
I think so. Like I was saying, Ben Simmons, just because he's like everyone thinks he's very attractive from a women's standpoint, and he's obviously been with Kendall and things like that. We won't go into that, but trying to think of other ones. I don't know. I
I
love
think Gronk
that.
might take
I
the
love
cake.
that Gronk answer. I think that's a winner.
I think that is a winner. Shout out Maddie. That was a good question.
Um, let's see. Ooh, that's a good one. Eric, no, shout out to my guy. The most overhyped teams going into the NFL season.
That is a very good question.
If it was last year, I'd say the Brownies, but now I feel like there's not a team that's that hyped up to that point.
Yeah, so it's funny. I think that the Browns are still very overhyped. I think they're going to have a good year, but
Mm-hmm.
with how now that they got their offensive line situations shored up, people are saying
People are still hyping them up, but
oh
not
yeah,
to the level of last year when they got Odell in a trade and everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is the best team that ever lived."
yeah, so no, but in a sense though, yeah, it's not as aggressive, but now people are essentially saying like their offense no longer has a hole, so they better get good or they're
Well, yeah, it's a shut up. You gotta put up or shut up this year for them. I think I think this team is overhyped every single year in the history of the NFL. But the Cowboys, I think they're going to be decent. I think they're going to win the division because it's not that great. But I think they're definitely overhyped, especially like CeeDee Lamb's great, but they're talking about like they're comparing this wide receiver core to like some of the best in history already, and he hasn't even played a down. So that's one of the teams. And Dak is by far the most overrated quarterback in football. But
last answer I'll give would probably be, and this is to a lesser extent, don't overthink my answer here because no one's expecting them to win the Super Bowl, but I do think the Dolphins are getting too much praise for like where they still are. It's like, yeah, they
especially because they got so much better on defense, but offense, like I know they got Tua, but they still have so many holes on offense. And I think
yeah, I mean, let's just stop after the fact that they had the 5th pick in the goddamn draft. They're a rebuild. Like people are saying that this team is like, oh my God, the praise is up here. It's just like, okay, they might be taking steps in the right direction, but like, don't be surprised if the Dolphins have a bad year because they're not.
I honestly not to pump your tires, but I think the Jets will be better than the Dolphins this year.
Yeah, I think
and the Pats. Like I still think the Dolphins are last in the division easy.
Yeah, so that was just to a lesser degree, but
I like that. Let's do 2 more quick ones. All right, John Kilmer, my guy, asked, did Rodman need to rage in order to be successful on the court?
100%. If Rodman didn't
would Rodman be able to survive in this day where he can't just leave?
Oh no. If Rodman didn't get his like reprieve days of just fucking off, he would have combusted. No chance.
I agree. That's it was crazy, but
good question. Good question,
that's a great one.
But easy answer.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's go with the last one. All right. What would college football season? This is from Greg Damsher, my roommate in college. Naturally, it's a lot of
Nice.
people I know. But what would the college football season look like if Pac-12 schools sat out this fall? I think that's a good question. Just say like if a certain Power Five conference just didn't play, or if not everyone came back. Like how would that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah.
But I mean, Pac-12 would keep maybe my losses of gambling at midnight at a bar down, I guess.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, your guess is as good as my guess, as good
Mhm.
as any other college football analyst guess, because no one knows. But if I had to take a hunch from what I've been hearing, um, I hear that it's going to be very like location /
Yep.
territorial based. So,
Well, a
and
lot of these
for
non-conference games that are scheduled are being either moved or changed or
yeah. So to give an example, Alabama might have to play Auburn twice. They might have to play Georgia twice. Things like that to
I
since
like
they're
it.
close by each other.
I like
Um,
it.
and yeah, and honestly,
I'm a
if that's the
fan.
case, like I don't need Alabama versus Louisiana Lafayette.
Wait,
Like
does that mean like Syracuse won't have to play Clemson this year or
I honestly like my I think
Syracuse could play Pitt 4 times this year. I'd be
yeah,
so down.
they might play like Boston College and Penn,
BC.
yeah, like just
Yep.
those Northeast schools because it's location based. So that would be my answer.
I yeah, I agree with you.
That was fun though, dude.
I
We
also I have to say I love you, Greg, because he then asked who would win the fight between a taco and a grilled cheese sandwich, and I don't think that deserves an answer because it was the most ridiculous question ever.
grilled cheese wins
This is
that.
the kid that we had speed dating, they called it in our fraternity, like rush stuff where you got to know people, and he had questions like if you could be a fruit that's like 5 fruits picked together, what would it be? So it's the same kid. But
I mean, to answer his question, grilled cheese wins any day of the week.
yeah, but you know what day it is today?
Taco
Taco Tuesday.
Shout out Greg though. Appreciate the question, man.
Yes, I appreciate it. That's fun. We should do that more often when we have our full bit when we're going.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, we can get right into just wrapping this up with a little talk about sports that are back, golf. I'll do a little betting, but I think that how much of Driving Relief this weekend did you watch?
Yeah, so I actually tuned in first of all just because I needed to see like real sports happening. So
Hmm.
that was why I tuned in, and the fact that we had some microphones on them to hear them kind of fucking around. They were in shorts. It was really a chill vibe, and some of the best some of the best players in the world. So they were on top of their game. But I'll let you kind of uh, give your more in-depth take because what I saw was good golf being played and it was more laxed. I liked how they were,
Hmm.
carrying their own clubs and all that shit. But like, it was fun. I watched probably 10 holes of the 18.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I watched every second, and I was so amped. I played golf in the morning. I had a terrible round naturally because I'm playing so bad right now, but my dad and I teed off at like 10. The match started at 2. We were done at like 1:45. Got home, perfect timing. It was great, but I like you talk about how lax it was. I tweeted this, and I think this kind of explains how cool it was. No caddies, players wearing shorts like a practice round, carrying their bags, no fans, mic'd up for banter, which the banter was mediocre. But like this is pure golf. Like the golfers, if you ask a golfer about at least a big time name that has played at the Masters about how much they love Augusta, they will tell you that the most peaceful and the greatest golf experience is playing Augusta by yourself with no fans, because it's just like this is golf. Like this is that atmosphere of you playing with your buddies. And I mean, it was really cool that Matthew Wolf finally got on display for everyone that didn't know him, because he had an incredible rookie year. He won the individual title in college before. He played at Oklahoma State with Rick, or not with Ricky, but same school as Ricky. He's a guy that when I was at the PGA Tour last year, it was his rookie season. He was killing it. He has this very unique swing, which is incredible, and it was cool to see people that don't really know much about him being like, "Oh, this Wolf kid's pretty sweet. He's a young kid. He murders the ball,
drives the shit out of the ball.
His little clutch release, his little clutch before he swings with his knee is just incredible. His little Furyk little whip that he has, and dude, when he hit that ball, I forget which hole it was par 5. He hit the ball 368. Not only did he hit 368, he has 100. I think it was 160 left on a par 5 coming in on his second shot.
Unbelievable.
Like, that's a hole that you're playing as an amateur golfer, and you're having 3-wood 7-iron in still, and he's got a freaking, which 160 is a freaking pitching wedge for him, if that. But like, it was cool to see them. Like, the banter was not. I feel like these matches, like even the match when Tiger and Phil played last time and coming up this weekend, the mic'd up part is very cool in a sense, but it doesn't end up being what everyone thinks it's going to be. So I think that part was meh. But I do have to say, I took Rory and DJ, and not only was I just back in my full sweating out every ounce of a bet, it was incredible that they came back and that they were able to do it closest to the pin for the last hole, because I was so nervous. And I took my 2 bets that cashed in were that, and I took the most skins they'd be playing for on a single hole would be over 3.5, which was easy because the last hole was worth like 7 skins or whatever. But having them come back like that, it was great. It was great. Made a few pennies.
back to the sports betting days when sports are back and normal. So I bet that felt good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree, man. For when I was watching, it was cool. It was unique. It was fresh, and it was sports. So I liked it.
Yep. It's great. And we're gonna have to we're gonna have to get used to fans not being in the crowds, at least to start, because the PGA Tour is starting back in, I think it was June 11th. So there's they have plans in place for the players and caddies and such. But there's not going to be fans in place for a little bit. So we're going to have to get used to that. And I think that seeing that, it was a little awkward at first. But I think that it was, golf is a sport that can do something without fans. I mean, you don't want to be draining a 30-footer on 18 at Augusta to win the Masters with no fans, but like, it's a little different than having no fans there than at like a college basketball game where they rely on fans, So I think that was a little taste of what we're going to see. And shout out to, I actually haven't really talked to my former coworkers at the tour. I know that some people were over there covering that, socially distanced and everything. It was cool to see. But, this weekend we have the match. It's going to be Tiger versus Phil part 2 with partners. And so Tiger's playing with Peyton Manning and Phil's playing with Tom Brady. And not only has the banter already started, but I think this is going to be a really fun event. They, I don't know if you saw the thing that Bleacher Report posted, I want to say like a week ago or so, where they had a full interview with all 4 of them. Ernie Johnson was talking to all 4 of them, and they were throwing jabs at each other. Peyton was making fun of the fact that Tom Brady got in trouble for trespassing in Tampa when he got there. Like, it's just funny. But I think that it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll get to your thoughts on this, and then I'm going to go right into, my picks for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 4 very ultra competitive guys, 4 alphas. So I'm expecting the chirping to be better than what we saw this past weekend with the 4 just golfers. So I'm expecting the chirping to be more. I'm expecting Tom Brady to perform at a high level, or if he's not, I think he's going to get really chippy and quiet and like into his Tom Brady mode. So
he'll be chirping early for sure.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing how they all handle each other. But again, just kind of like you said, the new normal of no fans there. I'm sure that if this was a fan event, it would be packed to the brim. So I think it's going to be a unique experience to hear these guys, the camaraderie that they'll have, but also the banter, because this is for fun. This isn't real like
Mm-hmm.
a true competition. Yeah, it's for some money, but like it's
For
not.
charity too.
Yeah, it's not for anything more than just to have on TV. So it'll be fun, and again, I'll be tuning in. But I know you have some good bets that you're have your eye on to make some more money and to try to help me get some money in the bank, because during quarantine I need to pay the bills. So what do you got for me?
So first, before I get to that, I just want to say that like this is going to be so cool because these are four very, very good golfers. Tom Brady was talking about like talking down his game, but I don't want to hear that BS because he's a good golfer, and Peyton is a great golfer. He's like he's probably like a 3 or 4 handicap. I know that him paired with Tiger really entices me to take them. I'm going to go into that in a little bit, but I think that it's very interesting because they played together before. I remember I covered the BMW Championship last year when I was at the tour, and their pro-am, Tiger and Peyton played together in the pro-am. And I remember we mic'd them up for a hole, and they were talking about like Peyton's talking to Tiger, picking his brain about his mentality and stuff. I just remember this clip where Peyton's like, when do you start your day, in a tournament and stuff, and Tiger's like, yeah, I get up at like 3:30. I work out, and we're just like, whoa, this man's just a menace. It's incredible.
This
But yeah, so new segment alert. Bush's best bets. We're gonna maybe I'll throw some little light music under this. But I have some the match bets that I'm gonna take. Couple quick ones. Just from watching last week's tournament. Last week's match there was a lot of promotion of the guys on the course. So I know that there's a bet that Peyton will be in over 1.5 commercials at plus 140. I'm going to put probably a unit on that. I think that's very
right, so
obvious.
let's have some fun with this too. So what we're gonna add a wrinkle to this.
Okay.
It's gonna be a nah fam lit or lit fam level of confidence
Okay.
in these Busch bets. So a nah fam is you're doing it, but you don't have too much confidence. You're just doing it more for the odds. Lit is you're pretty confident, and lit fam is a level of confidence that it's a sure bet. So
I love it. I love it. So like you say, nah fam would be like maybe a half a unit. Lit would be about a unit, and then lit fam, this is incredible, would be about a unit, or about 2 or 3 units. So this is probably about lit. Probably put a unit on this one. Peyton in over 1.5 commercials. I know that Ricky was in about 35 Rocket Mortgage and commercials over the weekend, so that you're going to see nationwide commercials with Peyton. It's pretty obvious at this point. If there's not more than one, then to just Venmo request me, I'll give you your money back. And by the way, no, don't actually. I'm not going to do it. These are off my book, the bookie that I use. So odds might be a little different, but these are what I'm going with at the moment on 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday night. Second one, will Omaha be said by a player? These guys are corny as hell when you put together Brady, Phil, and Tiger. Just their personalities. This is lit. This is lit. I'm putting a unit on this at plus 225. It's $100 for 225. So you're welcome. The next one, this is lit, fam. I am putting the mortgage on this one. It's so easy. I have never seen a more no-brainer bet in golf. So Tiger is the king of club twirls. He's playing 18, well, not necessarily 18 holes, but if it goes the distance, 18 plus, with cameras mic'd up, everything around him. And they set the over-under on club twirls at 2.5. So that's, say they only get to hole 16. That's 16 drives. You really don't think he's going to tee it up and club twirl? I'd take the over at 5.5. And it's a 2.5 at minus 150. So put 3 units on that.
That's lit fam level.
And then the last one is the overall bet. I'm taking Tiger and Peyton. They have chemistry playing together before they know each other. They're both incredible golfers. If you're to measure them out, they literally win both competitions. So the pro and the amateur. Tiger beats Phil today if they play one-on-one match, and Peyton beats Tom Brady. So I think it's such an easy bet. It's minus 205, so you're going to have to put a bunch on it to really get anything. So lit fam for this one, throw few units on this one. You got to throw 205 to win 100. So it's kind of a tough bet, but take Tiger and Peyton at minus 205.
Boom. He rattled them off. He sounds
I feel great.
confident.
Great.
Only one lit fam, but we had a few lits in there. So
we had 2 lit fams there.
I think I'm gonna listen to you, and hopefully my my bank account gets a little fatter after this weekend. Thanks.
I like it.
Yeah, but no, dude. I thought that was good, fun way to end, and I think everyone's gonna enjoy this one. The fact that we got to fully detail the final episodes of that MJ doc, it ended in a great way. Glad we got to talk about that. The fact that we have 2 weekends in a row of like real golf, albeit for charity, but professionals playing golf on TV. We love it. So hopefully you guys enjoy another episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy what sports are happening, and we can't wait to talk to you guys next week.